With the upcoming fate of the Old Republic promising to bring the Old Republic into the current canon, and the Knights of the Old Republic remake still hopefully on the way, now is a good time to revisit the story of Knights of the Old Republic 2. If you haven't seen my recap of the first game, I will have a link to this in the description box below. For now though, we are returning to the Republic, 5 years after the events of the first game. The Mandalorian Wars and the ensuing Jedi Civil War have almost destroyed the Jedi Order. In the absence of the Jedi, 3 Sith Lords have emerged. These 3 have led a hunt for the remaining Jedi, eliminating them as they are found, until only a few remain, driven into hiding. One of the last remnants of the Jedi Order is an exile, who has just returned to the galaxy and is currently aboard the Ebon Hawk. The Ebon Hawk is adrift in an asteroid field, her hyperdrive offline, and her system detecting multiple hull breaches. The Jedi Exile, Meetra Surik, is in the medbay in critical condition, and the rest of the Ebon Hawk's crew are dead or dying. T3M4 is the only functional member of the crew remaining. After stabilizing Meetra using a medpack, T3M4 finds the hyperdrive, though it requires some parts to repair it. T3 goes to look for the parts and on the way fixes another droid, 3CFD. The 2 droids work together to recover the needed parts. T3 is not able to fully repair the hyperdrive with resources on the Ebon Hawk, but is able to restore primary power. T3 then plots a course for Peragus, and the Ebon Hawk limps towards the docking bay. As it does, a HK-50 unit frees himself from the Ebon Hawk's storage compartment. Days later, Meetra is held in stasis in a coltopod. She hears a voice in her head telling her to awaken. When she regains consciousness, she finds herself in the middle of the room. She finds records for the medical bay, which report that she was the lone survivor of the Ebon Hawk and had been in the facility for 3 days. The body of an old woman had been removed from the ship and placed in the morgue, while T3M4 and a protocol droid had been sent to maintenance. The medical records also indicate a mining accident has occurred, caused by a droid. And the mining station droids have also started to behave oddly. The final medical bay log is interrupted by an emergency broadcast, reporting fuel detonation in the mining tunnels, and an emergency lockdown, with all personnel being ordered to report to quarters to prepare for emergency venting countermeasures. The medical records indicate that the final treatment to all patients in the medical bay was a lethal dose of sedatives, administered to all tanks. As Meetra looks at the bodies in the morgue, the old woman rises from her slab, asking if Meetra found what she was looking for. Meetra recognizes her voice as being the voice in her head. The old woman introduces herself as Kreia, and tells Meetra that Meetra's ship had been attacked, and she was the only survivor, no doubt as a result of her Jedi training. Kreia is now keen for them to locate the Ebon Hawk and leave, having had strange visions of minds coloured with fear. Now everything feels terribly silent. Kreia is content to remain in the morgue, while Meetra searches the station. During the search, she finds bodies, along with hostile mining droids, which she has to eliminate. As she moves through the facility, she continues to hear Kreia's voice in her head, again warning her of danger and urging her to re-establish her connection with the Force. Exploring the facility, Meetra is able to access an administrative computer. She deactivates the security door and the mining droids. Examining one of the droids reveals that they had been reprogrammed to mine any organics and any non-authorized droids in the facility. When Meetra investigates the door she had deactivated, she finds Atton Rand in a cell. He tells her that after word spread that a Jedi was in the facility, one group of miners had wanted to claim the bounty the exchange had placed on Jedi. Another group didn't like this idea, and this led to fighting between the two groups. Atton then heard an explosion, and then nothing until Meetra walked in. With Atton being stuck in his cell, he was unaware that the facility had been deserted. Once Meetra tells him that the miners are gone, Atton asks her to release him. He plans to reroute the emergency systems so that they can get to the hangars, grab a ship, and get out of the facility. Meetra releases him from the cell, and the two return to the command console. Atton attempts to reroute the system, but finds that it had been severed from the main hub, making the console useless for anything other than communication. When Meetra contacts Hangar Bay 25, she is greeted with a series of low-pitched whistles and beeps. T3M4. She asks T3 to unlock the emergency hatch, and the little droid makes its way down to the Peragus fuel depot and finds the body of one of the miners. T3 searches the body and finds a datapad, wherein the miner wrote that they had found sonic explosives, which appeared to have been placed by a droid. T3 recovers the explosives and uses them to open a sealed door in the hangar, finding 3CFD behind it, though unfortunately this time T3 is not able to repair it. T3 does find a computer spike though, which it uses to open the fuel depot. The hangar console reveals that access to the Peragus' emergency subsystems have been rerouted to the fuel depot computer. T3 heads to the fuel depot and is able to use the console there to open the emergency hatch to the administrative level. As the droid turns away from the console though, it is attacked by an unseen assailant. Back on the administrative level, Meetra and Atton hear the beeping from the console and the unlocking of the emergency hatch. Meetra uses the hatch to head into the Peragus mining tunnels, while Atton stays on the admin level and communicates with her via comlink. After fighting through mining droids, Meetra finds the central command console and is able to shut down the remaining droids. As she continues on, Atton warns her that the containment field is shutting down, and she needs to get out of there before they vent fuel through the tunnels. She makes it to the turbo lift and into the fuel depot. As she checks the body of the mining droid maintenance officer, she is greeted by the HK-50 unit, who refers to her as Master. It says that its previous master was the captain of the Harbinger, but as they are now dead, and Meetra is a survivor of the Harbinger, HK-50 will serve her. The HK unit also explains that Meetra had been as cargo on the Harbinger, kept in a drugged state until the Ebon Hawk boarded, appearing to have been attacked by a larger vessel. The crew of the Ebon Hawk breached the storage compartment and took Meetra, with the HK unit following. HK is unaware of how the Ebon Hawk came to be on Peragus, but after they arrived, it was the one who told the miners of Meetra's status as a Jedi. 3 hours after HK told the miners about Meetra, the mining droids started to malfunction. Some of the miners were able to flee to the dormitory level, but damage to the ventilation systems of the facility led to a lethal buildup of toxic fumes on that level, and HK does not know if there would be any survivors. Meetra resolves to search for any survivors, and HK tells her that the only way to access the dormitory would be to walk across the surface of the asteroid. The door to the surface is sealed and requires a code to be spoken by the droid maintenance officer. HK does know the code and had recorded the last word to the maintenance officer, as he was mined by his own droids. Meetra is able to trick HK into using the maintenance officer's voice to speak the door code into a sonic sensor. She then uses the recording on the maintenance console and is able to unlock the door. On her way to the dormitory, she is contacted by Atton, who she can see through the observation window. Atton tells her that she needs to get out of there, as what is left of the facility's venting system are venting fuel deposits right into her path. There is also a ship on its way to the facility. The ship is the Harbinger, still filled with the bodies of its crew, and a grey figure kneeling alone on the bridge. The Harbinger passes Meetra and docks on Peragus. After watching it pass, she continues on to the dormitories to check on the miners. Sure enough, as HK told her, the miners who fled to the dormitory had fallen victim to the toxic gas. Meetra shuts down the ventilation system and goes through the dormitory. She finds logs of what happened there, and sees the last moments of those who had been trapped in the dormitory. She also finds the mine foreman's log, who recorded that he had heard the maintenance officer talking to Quarter, the main person who wanted to sell Meetra to the exchange. The two had discussed smuggling Meetra off Peragus. When the foreman went to speak to the maintenance officer himself, though, the officer denied any knowledge of the plan. She also finds a recording of this conversation. A final log provided the explanation. HK had been mimicking the maintenance officer's voice to set up the whole Peragus disaster. He betrayed Quarter, sending droids to eliminate him after wiping out the rest of the facility. With no one left to save, Meetra returns to the admin level and finds Kreia waiting for her. She says that the person who fired upon the Ebon Hawk when they rescued Meetra is here, and they need to leave at once. They return to Atton, and the three of them make their way to the docking bay, but are stopped by HK. Meetra confronts HK about what it has done, and he confirms that he reprogrammed the droids to mine organics in order to eliminate the miners, and set off the explosives to drive the remaining miners into the dormitories, where he was able to gas them. Finally, HK was also the one who gave large doses of sedatives to the medbay occupants, killing the injured miners, and ensuring that Meetra would stay asleep. HK had miscalculated though, and Meetra awoke prematurely. The droid had done all of this to secure Meetra for his client, whose identity he would not reveal. Now, HK demands Meetra return to the Kolto tank, and when she refuses, he attacks, intending to incapacitate her. Once the HK-50 unit had been eliminated, Meetra, Kreia, and Atton make their way to the Harbinger. Meetra suggests that they use the fuel line to access the hangar where the Ebon Hawk is located. Atton, though, says that it won't matter if they reach the Ebon Hawk, as, without the orbital drift charts to show them a way out of the asteroid field, they won't make it. The Harbinger would have these charts stored in their Navicomputer in order to make it to Peragus, so the three head to the bridge and download the charts. They also find the Harbinger's logs, which report the moment they came across the Ebon Hawk being attacked by a Sith warship. Strangely though, no one was aboard either vessel when they investigated, just bodies on the Ebon Hawk and one badly fractured corpse on the Sith warship. As the three leave the bridge, they are attacked by Sith assassins. They fight their way through the Harbinger, and on the way find the briefing room, where the console shows that Karth Onasi, now Admiral Onasi, was the one who gave the order to answer the distress call from the Ebon Hawk, telling the captain that if there is any trace of the Ebon Hawk, even wreckage, he wants it. Continuing through the Harbinger, Meetra finds her room from when she was a passenger, and the command which had sent her to the medical bay for routine examinations and injections. In the medical bay itself, she learns that she had been given a sedative, enough to kill a normal person, and enough to keep her unconscious when the Harbinger was attacked. The medical logs also reveal what happened to the Harbinger. The body, taken from the Sith ship, was not dead. He was a Sith Lord who awoke and attacked the crew, joined by Sith assassins, who had boarded, cloaked with stealth generators, when the Harbinger stopped to pick up the Ebon Hawk. The Sith Lord is still on the Harbinger, and Kreia goes to fight him, telling Meetra and Atton to run. The two head for the fuel pipe, while Kreia faces the Sith Lord. The Lord recognizes Kreia, calls her master, and commenting that she is difficult to kill. He cuts off Kreia's hand, and at the fuel pipe, Meetra grasps her head, feeling Kreia's pain. Atton urges her on, and together they head into the fuel pipe, finding T3. Taking the droid with them, they re-enter the Peragus facility. There, T3 replaces the hangar control conduit and opens the door to the hangar bay. The group fights through some mining droids before making it to the Ebon Hawk. Once they board, though, the Ebon Hawk is attacked by the Sith, and Meetra has to use the laser turret to end the assault. Just as they are about to leave, Kreia appears on the Ebon Hawk's bridge. The ship takes flight, under fire from the Harbinger. Kreia suggests firing on an asteroid, which will set off a chain of explosions across the asteroid field, taking out the Harbinger, but also Peragus and the Ebon Hawk if they can't make the jump to hyperspace in time. The light side Meetra will refuse this option, as someone may still be alive on Peragus. A dark side Meetra would have fired on the asteroid. Either way, the choice doesn't matter. Even if they don't fire upon an asteroid themselves, the Harbinger will inadvertently hit one, setting off the chain reaction as the Ebon Hawk jumps into hyperspace. While in hyperspace, Atton demands an explanation for what is going on, and Kreia explains that before the Sith seized the Harbinger, it was on its way to Telos to aid with the recovery effort there. The Sith want to kill Meetra, as she is the last of the Jedi, and once she is dead, they will have won. The Jedi Academy on Dantooine is a crater, and the Jedi Temple on Coruscant lies empty. Kreia invites Meetra to speak with her father in the crew quarters. There, they discuss the bond which allowed Meetra to feel Kreia's pain. Kreia also tells Meetra why Telos is important, that before the war, Jedi who failed their training were sent to the fields of Telos to serve the galaxy not as Jedi Knights, but as farmers and labourers. An echo of the Jedi may yet still survive there. Kreia explains that the Jedi Council had cut Meetra off from the Force when they had exiled her. Now, though, she is starting to sense it again, and Kreia hopes to train her to use the Force once more. Finally, Kreia also tells Meetra some of the history of Revan and Malak's betrayal of the Jedi, Malak's betrayal of Revan, and Revan's revenge against Malak. Now Revan is gone, having left the Republic, and the remnants of the Sith turned on one another, while the Republic still bleeds and struggles for life. If the Sith succeed in eliminating the Jedi Exile, the Republic will fall with her. Meetra leaves Kreia to rest and wanders the Ebon Hawk. She finds another HK unit in storage, one which is missing 4 critical components, including a vocabulator, which she replaces with a vocabulator salvaged from HK-50. The Ebon Hawk makes its way to the Citadel station above Telos and is met by Lieutenant Gran, who has orders to take them into custody for the destruction of the Peragus mining facility. They are to be held under house arrest, pending the outcome of the investigation. As the group is taken away, security cameras pick up a pale woman approaching the Ebon Hawk. Lieutenant Gren escorts Meetra and her companions to the Telos Security Force station, while quarters are being prepared for them. The three are held in force cages until a bounty hunter, disguised as a guard, comes in. Intending on claiming the bounty the Exchange has placed on Meetra. The bounty hunter deactivates the force cages, intending to kill the three captives, but is no match for them. As he falls, Lieutenant Gren and the other guards rush in. They recognize that the bounty hunter wasn't one of them, and escort Meetra and her companions to an apartment to wait out their house arrest. With no other options, the three take the opportunity to get some rest. Soon though, their respite is interrupted by a visit from Mozar, a representative of the Ithurian planet restoration interests on Telos. Mozar is here on behalf of the Ithurian leader, Chodo Habat. The Ithurians are troubled by the growing influence of the Zerka Corporation on Telos, worried that they will destroy the restoration effort and leave Telos a dead planet. Chodo Habat wants Meetra's help, and in turn believes that he may be able to help heal her, as he sensed her pain through the Force. Mozar asks Meetra to come to the Ithurian compound, when she is able. Soon after Mozar leaves, Meetra receives a call from Jana Lorso, executive officer of the Zerka Corporation on Telos. Jana has heard about the Ithurians approaching Meetra, and wants to offer her a job instead, asking her to come to the Zerka offices. With this conversation over, the three are left to wait. Soon enough, Lieutenant Gren comes to advise them that the investigation has concluded that the Harbinger was responsible for the destruction of the Peragus facility. The Republic, though, is sending their own ship to do their own investigation, and in the meantime, Meetra and her companions are not to leave Telos. They are, however, no longer under house arrest, and can come to the Telos Security Forces offices to retrieve their belongings. They head out to do just this, while at the same time, a Sith apprentice reports to her master of a disturbance in the Force. She offers to find the source of it and bring it to her master. He commands that she do so. Back on Telos, Meetra continues to the TSF offices and speaks with a protocol droid about retrieving her belongings and the Ebon Hawk. She is told, however, that the Ebon Hawk had been stolen, having been transferred to the planet's surface instead of an impound dock. Its location is unknown, but it has not left the system. Meetra and her companions are able to retrieve their belongings, though. They are then free to accept the invitation from Zerka or the Ithurians. If they go to the Zerka Corporation, Jana will tell them that Zerka Corporation's plans for Telos' restoration are more economically sustainable, and that, if left to the Ithurians, the restoration project will run out of funds before even half of the restoration zones are up and running. Zerka has found that Telos' surface is covered with destroyed or abandoned military facilities, the salvage from which can be reprocessed and put back into service, or resold to help fund the project. Jana wants Meetra to intercept a droid which is being delivered to the Ithurians to help with the restoration. Conversely, when Meetra speaks with the Ithurians, Chodo Habat tells her that the Republic had previously provided a droid to help with the restoration project, but it vanished. Chodo's herd had been able to acquire a replacement at great expense, and it is due to arrive shortly. He asks Meetra to meet the droid at the docking bay and ensure its safe delivery to the Ithurians. Meetra agrees and heads to the docking bay, finding that the TSF only sent one man as an escort for the droid. Just after Meetra arrives, 5 thugs appear, and Meetra and her companions have to eliminate them. Meetra takes the droid back to Chodo Habat, who is most grateful. He tells Meetra that the thugs would be from the Exchange, and Zerka must have hired the Exchange to work against the Ithurians. He asks Meetra to speak with the leader of the Exchange, Lopask Slusk, to convince him to leave the Ithurians alone. The Exchange guard won't let them inside to speak with Slusk, though, telling Meetra that if she wants to meet with him, she will need to make an appointment by speaking to Sluska's second, Luxa, in the cantina. At the cantina, Luxa is more than happy to speak with Meetra, having heard what happened at the docks. She wants to make a deal. If Meetra gets rid of Slusk, then in return, Luxa will keep the Exchange off Meetra's back and find the Ebon Hawk. Meetra agrees for now and heads back to the Exchange base. This time when she says that Luxa sent her, the guard allows her inside, telling her he hopes that she knows what she's getting into before running away. Inside, Meetra talks her way past the receptionist to meet with Slusk. Slusk, though, is not open to speaking with Meetra and orders his thugs to dispose of her. After dealing with the thugs, Meetra follows Slusk and is allowed into his office by a Gamorrean guard who is allied with Luxa. After dealing with the bodyguards, Meetra finds Slusk more willing to speak with her, but they are interrupted by Luxa. Meetra then has to choose whether to help Luxa kill Slusk. Regardless of her choice, Luxa will eventually turn on Meetra. and Meetra will need to eliminate her. Assuming Meetra doesn't help Luxa, Slusk will survive and will be amenable to leaving the Ithurians alone from here on out. Chodo Habat is pleased that the exchange will leave his herd alone, though regrets that bloodshed was necessary. He offers Meetra a lightsaber, which once belonged to a Jedi of his herd. Chodo Habat does have one further request of Meetra: expose Zerka Corporation's corruption, so that the Republic intervenes and casts them out. In return, he can help them find the Ebon Hawk. The Zerka mainframe will have files on it which will expose their corruption, and Chodo believes that a Zerka employee who hangs out in the cantina may be willing to help. At the cantina, Meetra locates the Zerka employee and finds that he does not like Jana and wants to replace her. He tells Meetra that only Jana and her assistant droid, B4D4, have access to the mainframe. He also says that Zerka have contracted out maintenance of their droids to a guy who lives on Citadel Station, and if Meetra could get his credentials, B4D4 would go with her willingly. This contractor is able to be bribed and gives Meetra his credentials. With the credentials in hand, Meetra heads to the Zerka Corporation office, and B4D4 willingly accompanies her back to the Ithurians. There, the Ithurians are able to reprogram the droid and send him to access the mainframe. B4D4 does as programmed, but runs into a utility droid, T1N1, who is responsible for the Zerka mainframe. B4D4 is able to convince T1N1 to allow him to access the mainframe by revealing that by maintaining the mainframe, it is allowing Jana Lorso to harm sentient life, and that T1N1 had been the subject of frequent memory wipes to prevent it from realizing. T1N1 responds to this revelation by attacking Zerka employees with its stun ray. B4D4 then copies the files from the mainframe and also takes the opportunity to erase all data regarding his own purchase and association with Zerka. The droid then returns the copied files to the Ithurians and leaves as a free droid. Chodo commands Mosa to take the copied files to the TSF station. Keeping up his end of the deal, Chodo directs Meetra to a Zabrak ex-military engineer on the planet's surface named Beodur, who will be able to help her find the Ebon Hawk. Chodo also arranges a shuttle to take Meetra to the planet's surface. Meetra starts to make her way to the shuttle, but is contacted by Mosa, who says that the Ithurians are under attack. She rushes back to the Ithurian compound and fights through mercenaries and war droids to save the surviving Ithurians. Once the attackers have been eliminated, Chodo tells Meetra that the mercenaries were hired by Zerka and directs Mosa to report this to the Telosian Council. With the immediate threat to the Ithurians dealt with, Meetra heads to the shuttle, along the way finding B4D4 and T1N1, awaiting a ship to take them to Nar Shaddaa. In another life, a dark-side-inclined Meetra could have agreed to work for the Zerka Corporation. She would have still been attacked by the thugs in the docking bay, but after they were defeated, she could have brought the droid to Jana. Meetra would then have been tasked with eliminating Slusk in order to disentangle Zerka from the exchange. She would still seek out Luxa to arrange a meeting, but this time would need to do some favours for her, starting with acting as a representative in a weapons deal with 2 bounty hunters, which goes badly, and ending with collecting a debt from the Zerka droid contractor. Luxa will still want Meetra to get rid of Slusk, and will still betray her once she does. When Meetra returns to the Zerka base, she will find them under attack by mercenaries, which Zerka had hired, but who would like to renegotiate terms of their employment. Meetra would put the mercenaries down and report to Jana that Slusk had been taken care of. Like the Ithurians, Jana would then arrange a transport to the planet's surface. Regardless of whether she chose Zerka or the Ithurians, Meetra will take the shuttle to the planet's surface. As she leaves Citadel Station, Lieutenant Gren will update Admiral Onasi, letting him know that the Jedi has escaped. The Admiral is unbothered by this, saying that the Republic have decided to adopt a wait-and-see approach when it comes to Meetra. On the way to the planet's surface, Meetra's shuttle is fired upon and shot down, and when she comes to, she finds Beodur has pulled her and her companions from the wreckage. Beodur served with Meetra on Malachor V during the Mandalorian Wars, and refers to her by her old rank, General. Beodur is willing to help search for the Ebon Hawk, and suggests that they first need to go to the old Ithurian research station. To get there, the group has to survive mercenaries, imported wildlife, and more bounty hunters who want to claim the exchange's bounty. They make it to the research station and run into another group of mercenaries. Their commander comments that he was hired by Kuran Fault to keep everyone out of the restoration zone, especially Meetra. He refuses to elaborate on why, though. After this group of mercenaries have been dealt with, Bayardur uses the console at the station's landing pad to search for the Ebon Hawk. He can see that power is being drawn to a shield in a small area of the polar region, where nothing should be. To get there, Bayardur suggests taking a shuttle, which should be docked in the research facility. The group finds the shuttle and uses it to fly to the polar region. Just after they leave, 2 HK units enter the facility, commenting that the target has evaded them. The HKs check the computer and see that the shuttle is heading for the polar region. A nearby unit is dispatched to intercept the shuttle and shoots it out of the sky. Meetra and her companions are thrown from the wreckage and approached by 3 HKs who threaten her with interrogation and an end to hostilities. The HKs are no match for Meetra, Kreia and Atton though, and once they are eliminated, Meetra checks on Bayardur and leaves him by the shuttle for now to look for shelter. They find an entrance to a facility, and inside are met with 3 strangers who tell them to drop their weapons. Kreia counsels Meetra to do as they say, as she senses they mean no harm. With the weapons surrendered, Atton and Kreia are placed in cells, and Kreia comments to Atton that this appears to be a Jedi training facility. He does not respond well to this, and Kreia invades his thoughts to understand why, finding a secret that Atton wants to keep from Meetra. Kreia agrees to keep this secret for now, in exchange for Atton continuing to serve Meetra. For her part, Meetra has been taken to speak with Atris, the leader of the Academy, who questions why she has returned. Atris reveals that she has kept Meetra's lightsaber from when she was exiled, and that the Ebon Hawk is being held at the facility, its records and Navicomputer being dissected to determine what caused the destruction of the Peragus facility. Atris accuses Meetra of being responsible for this destruction, but believes Meetra when she says that it was actually the Sith who were responsible. Atris tells Meetra that in order to meet the Sith threat, they will need the help of others. She implores Meetra to seek them out across the galaxy and have them assemble on Dantooine. Meetra is then permitted to rejoin her companions, and Atris tells her that they are holding the Ebon Hawk in their hangar. As Meetra and her companions make their way through the facility, they find T3, who tells them that Atris had downloaded its memory core. The group then board the Ebon Hawk, leaving the Academy for good. While in flight, T3 tells Meetra that the link initiated by Atris went both ways, and T3 received some of Atris's records, including a hollow recording of Meetra's trial. The recording shows Meetra being exiled, and the conversation of the council after she left. They remark on Revan's teacher potentially leading him and others towards the dark side, and a wound in Meetra, some emptiness. In time, they may call Meetra before them again to explain what happened to her and how she can be healed. Atris also had a list of the missing Jedi Masters, which T3 now holds. They are Master Vrook on Dantooine, Master Zezkael on Nar Shaddaa, Master Kavar on Onderon, Master Vash on Korriban, of course, Master Atris on Telos. These are the Jedi who Meetra will seek out for assistance. As the Ebon Hawk continues its journey, Meetra speaks with Kreia, who freely admits to having previously been of the Sith, and being exiled from the Sith just as Meetra was exiled from the Jedi. She urges Meetra to learn from her, and promises that when her training is complete, she will tell Meetra everything, that there will be no more shadows between them, only the truth that exists between master and apprentice. Kreia also reveals that she had been Revan's teacher, and the one blamed for Revan's fall. Speaking with T3, Meetra recovers a further recording, Bastila sending T3 with Revan, and asking that if Revan doesn't make it back, and Bastila cannot be found, then T3 is to seek out other Jedi, something T3 has accomplished by finding Meetra. The Ebon Hawk arrives in the refugee sector of Nar Shaddaa, searching for Master Zezkael. As they dock, Goto, the head of the exchange, tells assembled bounty hunters that the Jedi is not to be harmed, merely watched, as one Jedi tends to attract others. The bounty hunters are displeased by this direction, but ultimately resolve to follow it, noting that their boss placed no restriction against self-defense or against attacking the Jedi's companions. Back at the landing pad, Meetra and her companions are confronted by a Toydarian, Quello, who claims that the landing pad belongs to him, and he has another ship coming in. Quello is easy to pay off though, and Meetra is able to head out into the refugee sector to begin the search for the Jedi. While exploring, Meetra runs into an ex-bounty hunter who fills her in on the main bounty hunters of Nar Shaddaa. He explains that she won't be able to seek them out, but if she makes enough trouble and gets a price on her head, they will come for her. Meetra takes this advice and helps the locals with various issues, gaining more and more attention from the exchange as she does. While taking a break from exploring the refugee sector, Meetra returned to the Ebon Hawk and found it empty except for a woman, Visas Mar, who rose to confront her. The two fight, and Meetra destroys her lightsaber, causing Visas to surrender and ask for death. Meetra refuses this request, and as Visas attempts to rise, she keels over and is brought to the medical bay. There, Atton remarks that the woman is a Meraluka, the last of her kind in this part of the galaxy. Meetra leaves her in Atton's care for now, and checks on her later once she is recovered. Visas then tells Meetra that she had been sent by her master to investigate a disturbance in the Force, but did not expect the disturbance to come from a living being. Visas is not willing to help Meetra find her master, but out of a desire to protect Meetra, considering her to be a precious thing and sensing greatness in her. Meetra then continued her work out on the planet until the other ship Quello was expecting arrives. The crew is displeased the Ebon Hawk has claimed their landing pad. They lie in wait for Meetra and her companions to return, attacking them on sight once they do. Once the group has disposed of these attackers, Atton tells Meetra that T3 has picked up a message. The message is from Visquis, a high-ranking member of the Exchange, who has become aware of Meetra's presence on Nar Shaddaa. Visquis invites Meetra to join him in his lounge within the Jek Tar for a conversation. The Jek Tar is filled with cyanogen gas, so Meetra intends to wear the environmental suit from Peragus in order to protect herself. Atton also gives her some antidote packs as a backup before he heads off to the cantina to wait for her return. As Meetra heads off, she runs into a bounty hunter, Mira, who warns her that Visquis works for Goto and this meeting is a trap. Mira also warns that word is spreading of this meeting, and because of it, the bounty hunter truce is off, leaving Meetra's friends in trouble. Sure enough, in the cantina, Atton finds himself confronted by the twin sun bounty hunters. He refuses to give up Meetra, so the bounty hunters attack him, and he is forced to incapacitate them, before heading back to the Ebon Hawk to warn the others. He gets back to the Ebon Hawk just before more bounty hunters arrive. As her companions handle this threat, Meetra continues her discussion with Mira. Mira tells her that Visquis intended to deliver her to Goto, so Mira intends to go to the meeting in Meetra's place. Mira expected that Meetra would not agree to this, and so gasses her, rendering Meetra unconscious. Wearing the suit tricks Visquis into believing Mira is Meetra. Once Mira is within Visquis's private lounge, she reveals herself, and demands an explanation for Visquis's plan to backstab Goto and claim the Jedi for himself. Visquis reveals that he has made a deal with Voga the Hutt to get rid of Goto. He tells Mira to hand Meetra over to him, but she refuses, saying Meetra is her bounty. In the absence of cooperation, Visquis detains Mira and waits for Meetra to arrive. Back in Mira's hideout, Meetra lies immobilized by the gas. While she lies in this state, Master Zez-Kai-El comes to speak with her. He tells her that her actions on Nar Shaddaa have succeeded in drawing him out, and he will no longer allow the Exchange to cause suffering in their crusade against the Jedi. He also considers Mira to be a friend and intends on rescuing her, telling Meetra to follow him if she wants answers or revenge. Once Meetra has recovered, she follows Zez-Kai-El into the Jek Tar. With no environmental suit to protect her, she nearly succumbs to the gas. Kreia counsels her to still her breathing and allow the Force to sustain her. Visquis watches Meetra through the cameras and sees her overcoming the gas. He sends the clientele of the Jek Tar after her, not expecting that they will be able to stop Meetra, but hoping they will weaken her enough for her to be caught. Meetra fights her way to Visquis's lounge, but as she does, Visquis flees to his base beneath the Jek Tar, where other hunters await, ready to assist in taking the Jedi. A Twi'lek attendant points Meetra towards the entrance to Visquis's base. Meetra makes her way through the poison-filled vents, while inside the base, Mira is awakening in Visquis's arena. He tells her that as the boss of the sector, it is for him to pronounce judgments on those who cross him and reward those who serve him. He sets Mira's rival bounty hunter, Hanha, against her, expecting that he will kill her. Instead, Mira defeats him, much to the surprise of Visquis, who sends Kath hounds to finish her off. The hounds, though, are also no match for Mira, and after they have been put down, she leaves the arena, fighting through Visquis's bounty hunters. She finds the escape tunnel and sees that activating it will also open the entrance to the tunnels where Meetra is. When she does activate the escape tunnel, the alarm sounds, and Visquis realizes what has happened. Meetra is now able to get into the base and cut her way through the bounty hunters inside. She finds Visquis waiting for her in the arena. He activates gas vents around her, but she is unaffected. Visquis then gives the order for his hunters to kill Meetra, but they surround him instead, following the commands of Goto. Visquis pleads for his life, but is executed, and Meetra is then shocked into unconsciousness, while Meetra watches through a monitor. Zez-Kayel catches up with Meetra, and she tells him that Meetra has been captured by Goto. Kreia comes to the base looking for Meetra and finds Hanha, defeated but still alive in the arena. She saves his life and commands him to hunt down Meetra. By this time, Meetra has made it to Aton and tells him that Visquis is no more, but that Goto now has Meetra. She says that there is no way to find Goto's ship, but if they were flying one of Voga's freighters, Goto would come for them, as he has been targeting Voga's operations. Aton supposes that they could retrofit the Ebon Hawk with the transponder signal of one of Voga's freighters. The codes are kept in the droid warehouse, which has been locked down by Voga. Only droids can get inside. T3 takes the initiative to have himself delivered to the warehouse as a new droid for Voga. Once inside the warehouse, T3 finds the protocol droid responsible for the transponder codes, and is able to talk it into giving the codes to T3, along with a blank transponder card. As T3 goes to leave the warehouse, it is intercepted by HK units, who demand Voga's launch codes. Against the odds, T3 is able to deactivate them. The droid then takes the codes to Aton, who is shocked to receive them. Aton takes the codes to the local repair shop to have the Ebon Hawk's transponder code changed. Meetra also insists on coming along with the crew and helping them against Goto. Sure enough, as the Ebon Hawk takes off, it is intercepted by Goto's ship. Meetra had already been taken on board and is being met by Goto. Goto wants Meetra to save the Republic. He tells her that in 1 month's time, the Republic will collapse. He also says that there is something moving in the galaxy, staging strikes at certain key figures, and causing the destruction of worlds, including the Miraluka world of Qatar, during a gathering of the Jedi. Goto cares not for whether the Jedi or the Sith prevail, just as long as the fighting stops. As they talk, an alarm sounds and Goto says that they are under attack. He leaves Meetra under guard as he goes to see to the ship's defences. Meetra's companions have made it off the Ebon Hawk, and are able to make it past these defences to meet up with Meetra in the audience room. The group makes their way through the ship, and uses the command console to disable its defences and lower its cloaking device, making the ship visible to the bounty hunters and the Republic. As they move on towards the Ebon Hawk, they encounter the twin sons, recovered from their encounter with Aton. This time, Meetra and her companions finish the job. The group then cut their way through the other bounty hunters, making it back to the Ebon Hawk and fleeing as Goto's ship is destroyed. Aboard the Ebon Hawk, Meetra confesses that Zez-Kayel hired her to watch out for Meetra and keep Goto off her back until Zez-Kayel can meet with her. A G0T0 droid has also made it onto the Ebon Hawk, and Goto speaks through it, saying that this droid is a gift, which will serve Meetra well on her journey. The Ebon Hawk then returns to Nar Shaddaa, so that Meetra can speak with Zez-Kayel. Zez-Kayel tells her that another member of the Jedi High Council, Master Kavar, had suspected that Meetra would return from exile, and felt that she was the key to understanding the threat they face. The Jedi have scattered to places where it is difficult to sense others through the Force, places that are dense with life or touched by war. There they gather information as part of Kavar's plan. Even Zez-Kayel does not know where the other Jedi are, and is surprised to hear that Atris is on Telos. Zez-Kayel confirmed that there had been a Jedi Enclave on Qatar, and the planet was targeted as a result, by something far more powerful than they knew how to fight. Zez-Kayel also reveals to Meetra that it was not the Council which cut Meetra off from the Force, though he does not explain any further. Instead, he proposes that they spar, and he shows Meetra the Xian combat form. He then tells her that he will go to Dantooine, and if she gathers the others, he will meet with her there. In another life, the exploits of a dark side Meetra would have inspired Hanha to approach her before her meeting with Visquis. This Meetra would have made a deal with Hanha to work with him against both Visquis and Goto. However, Meetra would have intervened, using a dart to knock Meetra out, and still taking her place in the meeting with Visquis. Hanha would still be given the opportunity to fight Meetra in Visquis's arena, and once he had eliminated her, Visquis would have released the Cathhounds as his reward for his assistance. After putting the Cathhounds down, it would have been Hanha that made his way to the escape tunnel and been confronted by Zez-Kayel. As the Jedi Master advanced on the Wookiee, he would find himself force-choked by Kreia. Kreia would still save Hanha's life invoking a life debt, and telling him this time to serve Meetra until Kreia calls on him. Henha has no choice but to obey, and goes with Kreia to tell Aton that Meetra had been taken by Goto, and suggesting that they change the Ebon Hawk's transponder codes, so as to appear as Goto's favourite prey. Once Meetra is back on board the Ebon Hawk, Henha will tell her that he can take her to Zez-Kaiel. This Meetra, though, has little interest in speaking with the Jedi, instead focusing on eliminating him, while Kreia gives her advice on how to best him. As Zez-Kaiel is at the last of his strength, Meetra instinctively feeds on his life force, and the Master falls. By the way, Meetra then returns to the Ebon Hawk. There, she speaks with her companions. From Kreia, she learns that Visas Mar's master is controlled by a hunger which devours and kills all it encounters. This master is already dead himself, his ability not something that he can direct or focus, and he is drawn to the Force, as he was drawn by the Jedi gathering on Katar. He will feed on what remains of the Jedi, and when they are gone, he will feed on the Republic, and in time, the Sith as well, leaving an empty galaxy in his wake. While on the Ebon Hawk, Meetra also speaks with Goto, and is able to convince him to admit that he is the droid G0T0 and the hologram was a ruse. Goto explains that he was programmed to save the Republic, something it felt it was not able to do, while also obeying the laws of the Senate. So, when forced to choose between preserving the Republic or preserving the laws of the Republic, Goto chose the first option, becoming the head of the exchange, to give himself the influence he felt he needed, to put things in motion to save the Republic. Speaking of droids, Meetra is also able to replace the last component HK-47 needs to reactivate. HK-47 is most displeased to hear of the HK-50 units which Meetra has encountered, and is resolved to educate these substandard units in proper assassination protocols. Once she has finished speaking with her companions, Meetra plots a course to the next planet, Onderon. The skies above Onderon are filled with ships waiting to get into the Isis starport. Kreia senses a great disturbance, both in orbit and on the planet below. The Ebon Hawk receives a transmission from a Colonel Tobin, who tells them that he was told to expect their arrival, and their business on Onderon ends here. Fighters immediately fire upon the Ebon Hawk, and even if Meetra tries to fight back on the turret, they will ultimately have no choice but to land on the nearby jungle moon, Dxun. The Ebon Hawk was damaged and will need to be repaired before they can leave the moon. Kreia tells the crew that this moon is where the Mandalorians began their crusade against the Republic. Kreia suggests exploring the area and a nearby outpost, sensing that there is something there. As Meetra and her companions head out into the jungle, Aton warns that the Ebon Hawk's sensors picked up something heading to the moon, but he can't tell where it landed. It does not matter though, as Meetra soon comes across an angry crew of bounty hunters, who blame her for the firefight which damaged their ship. They also want to claim the bounty on her. They can't be reasoned with, and so Meetra eliminates them. While Meetra continues to explore, Colonel Tobin berates a captain for letting her escape, and orders a detachment to be sent to Dxun to find her. Back on Dxun, Meetra finds a contingent of Mandalorians who have made the moon their home. They escort Meetra to their camp to speak with their leader. Mandalore has a shuttle which they use to travel to Onderon, and they can take Meetra with them, but only if she proves her worth. She will be able to prove her worth by asking around camp and making herself useful. To start though, Mandalore tasks her with detonating some charges, which have been set at the entrance to a hidden cache of Mandalorian equipment. Meetra fulfills this command and also assists the other Mandalorians with tasks they give her, and engages in feats which demonstrate her prowess in battle, in order to prove her worth. While in the jungle, Meetra comes across the detachment sent by Colonel Tobin, and dispatches them with the assistance of the Mandalorian, Kelborn. Kelborn says that Colonel Tobin is General Vaklu's personal Cathhound, and with Vaklu being the cousin of Queen Talia and the head of the Onderon military, he is a difficult enemy to face. Once Meetra has proven her worth, Mandalore says that he will make good on the offer to take her to Isis, and he goes to make preparations. While he does so, Kreia approaches him, telling him that she has information about his old master, the one who abandoned him. She will tell him, but only in return for his keeping Meetra safe. During this conversation, the Mandalorian camp is attacked by Sith assassins, who have tracked Meetra. Once the assassins have been dealt with, Mandalore takes Meetra's group to Isis. While the shuttle is in flight, Queen Talia is speaking with Master Kavar about Vaklu's claim that the Republic ship started the battle in the planet's orbit. Vaklu has been trying to seize power on the planet, and Queen Talia and the Jedi have a plan to stop him and draw out his unseen support. After the Mandalorian shuttle lands, Mandalore warns Meetra that General Vaklu is close to declaring martial law, and Isis has been shut down tight for months now. Mandalore has a friend, Dagon Gant, who may be able to help them. As the group leaves the landing pad, they are approached by the portmaster, who tells them that the situation has become much worse since the last time the Mandalorian shuttle came to Onderon 2 months ago. Now there is a blockade, and military checkpoints are everywhere. The portmaster gives them a starport visa, warning them that if they lose it, they will not be able to leave. Leaving the portmaster behind, Meetra comes across a news broadcast, which reports that the Republic ship the Ebon Hawk fired the first shots in the battle above the planet. The report says that the Ebon Hawk destroyed 15 military fighters before being destroyed, and questions if this attack will change Queen Talia's support for the Republic. Meetra passes through the checkpoint into the merchant quarter, convincing the guard to let her pass without question. As soon as she enters the quarter, she sees some of Vaklu's men arbitrarily arresting a journalist as a spy. A nearby citizen also begs for help to leave Onderon, as her husband had been killed, and her home seized by Vaklu's men. Meetra also runs into more bounty hunters. After dealing with them, she and Mandalore go to the home of Dagon Gant, but find that he is not there. A thug overhears them talking about Dagon and mentions that he is one of the suspects who has been detained at the tower for the murder of a captain in the cantina. They head over to the tower while at the same time, Colonel Tobin is reporting in to General Vaklu, saying that the crew of the Ebon Hawk are in Isis, and he has dispatched some loyalists to take care of them. General Vaklu tells him to belay this order and have Meetra watched instead, theorizing that the Jedi might prove a solution to a different problem. At the tower, Captain Riken says that Dagon is being held in relation to the murder of Captain Sulio, who was in charge of the starport checkpoint. Meetra will not be able to speak to Dagon as long as he is in custody. With Mandalore insisting that they need Dagon's help, Meetra heads off to the cantina to see if she can clear Dagon's name. There she learns that Dagon has an alibi, but this alibi is that he was with a Republic spy, something which would also carry a death sentence if the authorities learnt of it. Meetra is also told that the captain's body was found by the junk pile outside. Examining the crime scene, Meetra finds a destroyed serving droid, its head missing, taken by salvagers, who sold it to a trade droid. Meetra buys the head and takes it to a slicer to recover its memory core. The droid's last memory was finding Captain Sulio's body and coming under fire from an unknown assailant from the direction of the marketplace. Dagon's friend confirms that after the murder, Dagon came from the direction of his office, not the marketplace. This is good enough evidence for Captain Riken and the Major to release Dagon, and Meetra goes to his office to wait for him. Dagon is grateful for Meetra's assistance, and she asks him to help her contact the Jedi Master in the palace. He is willing to help, but while he was locked up, Lutus took encrypted holodisks which contain certain contact information that he needs. He heard that Bakel's gang are the ones who cleared him out, so Meetra goes to speak with her. Bakel, though, is not interested in making a deal, so Meetra takes the holodisks from her body instead. With these holodisks in hand, Dagon goes to make the arrangements. Inside the palace, Queen Talia asks Kavar if the meeting is a trap and urges caution. Kavar then leaves the palace to meet with Meetra in the cantina. This meeting is soon interrupted by Colonel Tobin. The colonel orders his men to attack, and Kavar rushes out of the cantina to return to the palace, urging Meetra to run and saying that he will contact her when he can. Instead of fleeing, Meetra eliminates Tobin's men. Returning to the merchant quarter, Meetra is approached by an officer, who asks what the shooting is about. Meetra explains that Vaklu's men are attacking her, which the officer is confused by and says must be a mistake. Command have issued no alerts, and soldiers don't attack civilians. He tells her to head to the safety of the Merchant Square while they investigate. The Merchant Square, though, proves no safer, with commoners ambushing Meetra and the defense turrets coming online to target her. The checkpoint guard scans her visa and urges her to leave the starport right away. Mandalore echoes these sentiments, saying they won't return until the situation changes a lot. The group then takes the shuttle back to Dxun. Once they land, Mandalore tells Meetra that he will travel with her, to aid in her fight against the Sith, and to look for the other Mandalorian clans. Atron arrives with the good news that the Ebon Hawk has been repaired and is ready to leave. And so Meetra returns to the Ebon Hawk, leaving Onderon behind and trusting that Master Kavar will contact her in time. While this was one path, a darker Meetra may have agreed with Queen Talia being deposed, and would be approached by a supporter of Vaklu, who asks Meetra to remove the captains from the merchant quarter who are loyal to the Queen. And so, one by one, Meetra would remove the captains. Maybe an accident, or employing the local thugs to act as career advisors. Maybe suggesting that they seek reassignment, or even leave the planet altogether. Maybe an outright attack, or persuading a captain to let his real feelings out. Regardless of her means, she would earn an ally. And this time, during the ambush in the cantina, after Master Kavar had left, Colonel Tobin would return. He would apologize for the necessity of the ambush, saying that Vaklu considers Meetra could be an ally, but for now they need to maintain appearances for another of Vaklu's allies, a Sith Lord. Vaklu would like this ally removed, and would like Meetra to take care of this for him, but not right now. There are still some things the Lord needs to do for Vaklu, but once this has been done, Vaklu will send Meetra a message through the Mandalorians. Mandalore would support Meetra aligning with Vaklu, and just as before, the group would leave Onderon for now, to wait for a message. The Ebon Hawk will next make its way to the home of the Jedi Enclave on Dantooine. When Meetra leaves the Ebon Hawk, she is confronted by a woman who is displeased to see a Jedi. She tells Meetra to speak with Administrator Adari, finish her business in Kunda, and go. Speaking with a droid who was at Dantooine at the time Meetra was a Padawan, reveals that the Jedi Master of this world, Master Rook, had no love for Meetra, and thought that her lust for power would lead her to the dark side. Entering the Kunda outpost, Meetra overhears more of the locals discussing their distaste for the Jedi, and their desire to claim the bounty if the rumours of a Jedi returning to Dantooine are accurate. Fortunately, the receptionist just assumes that Meetra's group are more salvagers, and says they will need to speak with the Administrator. Administrator Adari recognises the Ebon Hawk as a Jedi vessel, which had come to Dantooine during the war. Unlike the others, Administrator Adari remembers the assistance the old Jedi Masters lent to Dantooine, and she still maintains discreet connections to the Jedi, and specifically Master Rook. Master Rook has recently gone missing after going to the Jedi Enclave's sublevel, so the Administrator asks Meetra to go and look for him. Meetra makes her way to the ruins of the Jedi Enclave and runs into a group of salvagers fleeing the sublevel. They had only made it 2 rooms into the sublevel before they were swarmed by Lagrax and were forced to flee, with one of them not making it out. Meetra's group heads into the sublevel and quickly runs into Lagrax and the missing salvager, who flees the sublevel once Meetra clears the way. The group continue through the sublevel and find a disciple, a historian who has dedicated himself to preserving what remains in the Enclave. The disciple mentions that among the things taken from the Enclave are records and holocrons, things which he believes were taken by the Jedi themselves. He says that someone has been taking holocrons from sites across the galaxy, almost as if someone doesn't want the holocron's knowledge used to find the Jedi. The disciple asks Meetra why she is looking for Jedi, and when she tells him that the Sith are re-emerging, he asks to join her, considering their goals to be compatible. With the disciple now among her companions, Meetra explores the room that he was in, finding the bodies of 3 mercenaries who bear the marks of being killed by a lightsaber. On one of the bodies is a datapad containing orders from Azkul, the leader of the mercenaries on Dantooine. These orders were to pursue Master Rook into the Enclave and capture him, and then bring him to the Kinrath Caves to await transport to Nar Shaddaa. Meetra goes to leave the Enclave, but finds a group of thugs blocking her way. They want to claim both the bounty on her and any artifacts that she has found. After eliminating them, Meetra and her companions made their way to the caves to intercept the remaining mercenaries before they can transport Master Rook off-world. They make it to the caves in time to interrupt the mercenaries' plan, much to the annoyance of Master Rook, who berates Meetra for ruining the best chance of averting a full-scale conflict. Master Rook says that the mercenaries were allied with the Exchange and are planning to attack Kunda. They had been holding off for the right moment, but now that they've lost their captive Jedi, they will attack immediately. Master Rook rushes off to warn Administrator Adari of this impending attack. When Meetra goes to follow, she finds the mercenary leader Azkul waiting for her outside the cave. He tells her that he plans to take Kunda and wants her to help him. When she refuses, Azkul leaves, trusting his men will deal with Meetra and her companions. After besting these mercenaries, Meetra rushes back to the Kunda outpost. where she finds that Rook has already filled the Administrator in on the mercenary threat. The Administrator asks for Meetra's assistance with preparing the militia and strengthening Kundar's defenses. Meetra agrees and goes to shore up the defenses, reprogramming the turrets, fixing the medical droid, reactivating the defense droids, setting traps, locking down a malfunctioning security door, and recruiting civilians into the militia to shore up their numbers. As the attack begins, Rook heads for the mercenary camp to delay their assault, and Meetra speaks with the militia to bolster their morale. Before the mercenaries can even make it to the outpost, their numbers are reduced by Kundar's defenses. It isn't enough to stop them from breaching the outpost though, led by Azkul. Azkul tells Meetra to step aside, and when she refuses, Azkul orders the attack, though not all of his men obey. Master Rook has also arrived back at the outpost in time to help repel the attack, and he and Meetra fight side by side. With Kundar safe, the Administrator thanks Meetra for her aid, commenting that Dantooine will not forget that it was the Jedi who protected them. Rook also comments that he may have misjudged Meetra. He also tells her that he believes their enemies have access to records and holocrons from the Enclave, information being used to track and kill Jedi and find their gathering places. He had allowed himself to be captured in the hope that it would lead him to the Sith and the stolen artifacts. Before Meetra leaves the Enclave, Master Rook teaches her a new fighting style. While on Dantooine, Mandalore was also able to convince Mandalorian mercenaries to join the rest of their people on Dxun, but not until he put down their leader who called him a usurper. In another life, a dark side inclined Meetra, still angry at her treatment by Master Rook, would have called for Rook's death in the caves, cutting her way through the mercenaries and attacking Master Rook, though he would stun Meetra and her companions and flee the cave. Azkul would still be waiting for Meetra when she emerged from the cave, and this Meetra would agree to aid in his attack. She would still return to the Kundar base, but Master Rook would not have made it there to warn the Administrator against Meetra, so the Administrator will still believe that Meetra intends to aid them, and will give her unrestricted access to the base. This Meetra, though, will do all that she can to weaken the defenses, programming the medical droid to sedate wounded soldiers to ensure that they are unable to join the fighting, programming the defense droids to instead protect hostiles, programming the turrets to attack Kundar's militia, removing the traps set for the mercenaries, and opening the malfunctioning security door to allow easy access to the outpost. With the way for the mercenaries' attack cleared, Meetra will return to Azkul, and will then lead the first wave of the mercenary attack. When she re-enters the outpost, Rook will be there to stop her. He will fail, and he will fall as Master Zez-Kaiel did before him, with Meetra siphoning his life force away. Azkul will comment that Meetra should have let Master Rook live to be sold on Nar Shaddaa, but he is grateful for the assistance in the attack, rewarding her handsomely before going to deal with the Administrator. This Meetra would leave Dantooine behind, in the hands of mercenaries. When Meetra returns to the Ebon Hawk, she finds T3 waiting for her, with a message from the Mandalorian Kelborn. Master Kavar has made contact, and Meetra must return to the Mandalorian camp on Dxun. On the way, she speaks with the Disciple, who suspects that each of the planets they are visiting are connected, not just by being touched by both the Mandalorian and Jedi civil wars, but by something else. Between the attacks on Qatar, the state of Telos and Dantooine, it is like something is wrong with life, and the connection's damaged. Sickened, he feels he almost understands. In her room, Kreia eavesdrops on the conversation, also commenting to herself that the Disciple is so close to understanding. The Disciple has also contemplated Revan's actions during the Jedi Civil War, the way that he sought to convert Jedi rather than kill them, and the way that he fought to keep infrastructures intact while taking out key political figures. The Disciple theorizes that Revan wasn't trying to conquer the galaxy, but unify it against some other threat. The Ebon Hawk returns to Dxun, and Meetra makes her way to the Mandalorian camp. At the camp, Kelborn conveys Kavar's message that Queen Talia has arranged safe passage to Onderon. Kelborn, though, is unsure if this offer is still good, as General Vaklu met with the Council of Lords that morning and declared the Queen guilty of treason. The military is divided, and Isis is in the midst of a civil war. The Mandalorians predict that the Queen will fall. Kreia, though, senses that Meetra's group may still get to Master Kavar in time. She senses something stirring on Dxun, and asks if the Mandalorians have picked up anything. They confirm they have picked up transmissions from the jungle nearby. Kreia says these transmissions are from their enemy, and they must be stopped. else Kavar and the Queen will not survive the day. Meetra is needed at the palace, and so she must choose one of her companions to lead the expedition through the jungle, to hunt the source of the transmission, and 2 others to accompany them. Some of the Mandalorians will also assist. The groups separate, with Meetra preparing to go to Onderon, and the expedition group heading into the jungle. As the expedition group nears their objective, the Mandalorians, bar one, are sent to secure the trail behind them. Their leader, Zarga, will continue to accompany the group a little further, before setting up a field command. The expedition group find a Sith camp. Logs of the officer in charge suggest that the camp is there to guard the nearby tomb, though the officer did not know why. The group heads into the tomb and finds more Sith. Zarga says that Kex, the Mandalorian quartermaster, believes that this is the tomb of Freedon Nard, a fallen Jedi who conquered Onderon long ago and became their king, an ancestor of the current queen. As the expedition group pushes in, word has gotten to the Sith inside. A Sith officer says that the ritual cannot be interrupted, and the intruders cannot be allowed to reach their master. The group fight their way through the tomb, coming across 2 Sith discussing how their masters have discovered how to control beasts, to make them their servants. As the Sith notice the group arrive, they, and their controlled beasts, attack. The group eventually comes across the ritual site and are told they are too late, and Onderon will fall, and with it, the Republic shall die. The Sith sense the Force in Meetra's companions and try to sway them to the dark side. They refuse and put the Sith down. At the same time that the expedition group was heading through the jungle, Meetra was being taken to a Basilisk war droid, and was told that Mandalore had made the droid available to her for insertion into Isis. Meetra takes the droid and makes it past the city's defences. When she lands, it is to the panic of Vaklu's soldiers, who believes that Mandalorians are attacking Isis once more. Once the soldiers have been dispatched, Meetra starts to head for the palace, and is met by Captain Bastuka, who has remained loyal to the Queen. The captain recognises Meetra and urges haste, as the palace could fall any minute. Inside the palace, Queen Talia tells Kavar that his plan to draw out the hidden enemy has succeeded. Kavar, though, had only anticipated Sith, not the beasts which fight with them. Kavar has hope, though, sensing that Meetra has received his message and is on her way. Meetra fights her way up the sky ramp towards the palace, and make it to a contingent of royalist soldiers. Some of these soldiers will come with Meetra's group, while others continue to hold their position. Meetra leads them to the turret control center and uses the terminal to both deactivate the force shield blocking the way into the palace, and to shoot down Vaklu's ships. Heading back outside, Meetra is shocked by a power conductor blowing up. Bostuka says that this was the work of one of Vaklu's slicers, who has taken control of the security grid. He warns her to expect more of the same until they deal with the slicer. They fight their way past more of Vaklu's men, along with members of the Sith, and eventually make it into the palace. They head for the throne room, but Tobin orders the outer door closed. He tells Meetra that she is too late, and the Queen will soon fall. Meetra then has to find another way through. When she does, she finds Kavar, who tells her that Captain Kadron needs help with a dangerous assignment. This assignment is to transfer all primary functions to the security terminal here, and disable the primary security console, which is being used by Vaklu's slicer. Meetra can use the terminal here to see the slicer, and he gives her a mocking salute through the cameras. Meetra and her companions fight their way through the palace while Captain Riken is being interrogated for the override code to the palace shields. The slicer warns that the Jedi is on her way, but it is of no use. Meetra makes it to the security room and eliminates all of Vaklu's soldiers. With them down, she is able to confirm the identity of the slicer. It is Kip, the same slicer who assisted her during the investigation into the murder of Captain Sulio. He prevails upon her Jedi compassion and regard for all life forms in begging for his life. He agrees to wait for the soldiers to come for him and allows Meetra to access the terminal and use it to open Riken's cage, then transfer all function to the secondary terminal. Once Captain Riken is free, he tells Meetra that they should head to the throne room right away. They make it there just in time to see Vaklu's beast breach the force shield to the throne room. Once it is through, though, Vaklu's men lose control of it, and it takes down Colonel Tobin before Meetra puts it down. Inside the throne room, Vaklu's men and the royalists do battle, with Meetra using her battle meditation power to rally the royalists. A final confrontation between Vaklu and Meetra leaves the man wounded, with Kreia urging Meetra to eliminate him now as he is too dangerous to leave alive. Meetra, though, leaves the decision with Queen Talia, and Her Highness orders that the general be executed for treason. The Queen then goes with Captain Kadron to end the fighting, while Meetra remains in the throne room to speak with Master Kavar. Just outside the throne room, Kreia approaches the fallen Colonel Tobin, finding a shred of life still within him. She heals Tobin enough to awaken him, and she claims to be in league with General Vaklu. Kreia tells Tobin that Vaklu sent her to rescue him, and to pass on a message that the war is lost, and to make haste off-planet. She also tells him of the secret Jedi Academy on Telos. Back in the throne room, Kavar tells Meetra that they had been looking for her. He had told the other Masters that the only chance for them to figure out what was happening to the Jedi was to find Meetra and try to understand what had happened to her. What is attacking the Jedi is attacking them through the Force. Master Kavar teaches Meetra another lightsaber form, and then tells her that he is going to Dantooine to meet with the other Jedi now that the Sith have revealed themselves. Meetra and her companions then wait for the return of Queen Talia. The Queen is grateful for their assistance, and gives them relics from the Royal Museum, and tells them that Captain Bostuka will take them back to their ship. They then return to Dxun and meet up with the expedition group. In another life though, the return to Onderon could have been much different. This time when Meetra lands in the Basilisk, she faces soldiers loyal to the Queen who believe Vaklu has allied himself with the Mandalorians. She fights against them alongside Vaklu's men, before being approached by Tobin, who is displeased with her choice of transport. The general also arrives, and Meetra is able to negotiate the terms of her assistance in his campaign. Once they have come to terms, Meetra is tasked with leading a detachment of Vaklu's men up the sky ramp to the palace. As they storm the palace, the order is given to attack the Sith as well, Vaklu no longer caring for these allies. Tobin is still attacked by the Drexel, before Meetra's group takes the throne room. This time, the reunion with Kavar ends with his death. The Queen is deposed, and General Vaklu is left the undisputed leader of Onderon. He offers the planet as a safe haven, should Meetra ever find herself hunted by the Republic. With one Jedi Master remaining in hiding, the Ebon Hawk goes to Korriban. Kreia considers that the most likely place to find the Jedi is within the ruins of the old Sith Academy. She will, however, not accompany Meetra in her search, saying it is too difficult to center herself here. Instead, she will remain on the Ebon Hawk and use their bond to guide Meetra. As Meetra enters the Academy, her presence is sensed by Darth Sion, who sends his assassins after her. Exploring the Academy, Meetra finds the body of Master Lorna Vash. Kreia sensed the death of Master Vash shortly after the Ebon Hawk arrived on Korriban. Within the ruins of the Sith Academy, Meetra also comes face to face with the decaying Darth Sion. The Sith Lord has studied Meetra, and warns her that Kreia will destroy her the way she destroyed him. He offers to end it before it begins. The two fight, but when Meetra comes close to killing him, Darth Sion healed himself with the Force. Kreia warns that Sion cannot be defeated, as he is not a beast of flesh and blood. Kreia tells Meetra that this is not a battle which can be won, and she needs to flee. Meetra heeds Kreia's warning, and she and her companions flee the Academy. Darth Sion watches them go and orders his men not to harm them, saying that Meetra has earned this, and they will face each other again. Meetra returns to the Ebon Hawk, and with all the Jedi Masters now accounted for, makes her way back to the Jedi Enclave on Dantooine. Kreia accompanies Meetra to the Enclave, but tells her to go in to see the Council alone. The Jedi Masters, Vrook, Zezkael, and Kavar await Meetra. The three speak of the last Jedi gathering on Katar, and the attack which claimed all who gathered there. When they felt Katar die, they felt something that they had only felt once before, when Meetra stood before them, an echo in the Force. A hunger tied to Meetra and something that she had experienced directly. They explain the reason that Meetra was exiled, the influence she has over others, particularly the Force-sensitive. She causes others to follow her against their own instincts and senses. They also tell her that it was the screams of countless thousands of Jedi and Mandalorians being crushed by the gravity of Malachor V, which deafened her to the Force. Meetra protests that she can feel the Force again, and they tell her that she is a cipher, forming bonds, leeching the life from others, siphoning their will and dominating them. What she carries may mean the death of the Force and the death of the Jedi. The Sith, too, have learned the lessons of Malachor. It is what allows them to prey on Force users, and become stronger when Force sensitives are near. Meetra is too great a threat, and so the judgment of the Council remains as it was, exile. But this time she must leave without her tie to the Force. Before they can finish carrying out this sentence, and severing Meetra's connection to the Force entirely, Kreia intervenes, saying that she will cast her own judgment on them. Meetra crumples to the ground. The Jedi Masters ready their lightsabers, but they don't even have the chance to fight. Kreia drains all 3 of them at once, killing them instantly. Had Meetra fallen to the dark side instead and killed each of the masters as she found them, the Enclave would be empty. Kreia would still encourage her to go to the Enclave so that they may talk among the ruins of the Jedi. Kreia is disappointed in the exile. She had hoped that Meetra would learn something from the Jedi Masters as they fell before her. She would ask Meetra if killing these Jedi brought Meetra peace. Her answer will not satisfy Kreia, who will say that Meetra has failed her completely. Kreia would be furious, striking Meetra down and standing over her unconscious body, berating her for failing to listen and understand. She was Kreia's last hope to change what is to come, and now Meetra has left her with nothing. Kreia would leave Meetra lying in the Enclave, her voice echoing in Meetra's head, telling her that she has taught others to create bonds and to feed on others through the bond, that she has brought the death of all of those who can feel the Force, and unless she can hear it and silence the echo she has caused, then every living thing everywhere that is touched by the Force will die. Regardless of what she leaves behind her, Kreia meets with the handmaidens entering the Enclave. She tells them that Meetra is no more and asks to be taken to Atris. Meetra eventually awakes and checks the bodies of the Jedi Masters. She finds them all drained of life, each body worse than lifeless, each like an absence in the Force. Returning to the Ebon Hawk, she finds Atton on the floor of the cockpit and asks what has happened. He tells her that the handmaidens came for Kreia and they know who she is now. They are taking her back to Telos for Atris to deal with as she would any Sith. The Ebon Hawk, though, follows them back to the polar base on Telos. As they do, Atris speaks with Kreia, accusing her of being one of the Sith. Kreia confirms that there was a Darth Traya, that she cast aside that role, was exiled, and found a new purpose. Kreia in turn noted that Atris had bathed in the knowledge of the Sith, and says it was never battle that called to Atris, and not battle that made her fall. Atris asks where the exile is, and Kreia tells her that she is coming, but will arrive too late to save either one of them. Kreia then leaves Atris, telling the waiting handmaidens that their mistress awaits, and has something to share with them. Meetra arrives at the base and enters it alone. She finds it deserted until she reaches Atris. Atris calls on Meetra to surrender, and when Meetra calls her by her name and tells her that she must be stopped, Atris replies that she has not been Atris for some time, finally realizing that her obsession has caused her to fall. Kreia has made Atris face herself, and told her that Meetra would be the last obstacle to her enlightenment. Atris says that Kreia too will answer for her crimes in time, for being the one who ordered the extermination of all Jedi. Atris also claims that she orchestrated Meetra's return to the Republic as bait for the Sith, and now that they are here, Atris plans to defeat them. She attacks Meetra but is no match for her. Injured, she asks Meetra to end this, but Meetra spares her instead, and asks her where Kreia is gone. Atris responds that Kreia is on Malachor V, where she intends to create another wound in the Force, one which will deafen all those who are touched by the Force, until no life is left. Kreia needs Meetra there on Malachor for this, but if Meetra does not come, then Kreia will take her own life at the heart of Malachor V, and through their bond, Meetra will die with her. Meetra leaves Atris in her solitude, and the Ebon Hawk leaves the polar base. Though, if Meetra was more darkly aligned, she would have struck Atris down, and heard Kreia telling her that she had done well, and warning her that one of the Sith Lords had come to Telos, and that if he is not stopped, he will lay waste to the planet. Kreia tells Meetra that once the Sith Lord has been dealt with, she will await her on Malachor V. At the same time that the Ebon Hawk was at the polar base, the Sith had been converging on Telos. The Ebon Hawk docks on the Citadel station to render assistance, and are met by Lieutenant Gren in the Ithorian compound. Zeron and some of the Kundan militia have also answered the call to aid Telos. Though, if Meetra had sided with Azkul, then Azkul will appear in Zeron's place, accompanied by his mercenaries. Onderon has also sent a squad of troops who are attempting to stop the Sith from sabotaging the station's fuel system. Meetra and her companions will take the fight directly to the Sith warship, the Ravager. Mandalore, though, will not accompany her just yet, saying that he must leave to gather his Mandalorian warriors, and will rejoin her when the time comes for the assault on the Ravager. Before leaving the Ithorian compound, Meetra speaks with Chodo Habat, who is relieved to see her, and mentions that after she left Citadel Station last time, Zerka Corporation was ordered to cease their operations on Telos. Meetra also checks in with Captain Riken, who is in charge of the Onderon troops. Riken tells Meetra that his people have infiltrated the urban module and are on their way to the TSF station, but are taking casualties. Meetra tells him that she is heading that way to get to the shuttle, and he asks her to help his men if they need assistance. Outside the Ithorian compound, the TSF are having difficulty breaking the Sith line. Meetra helps break the line by taking out the turrets and some of the Sith commandos. Making it to the urban module, she finds an injured Onderon soldier. The wounded man insists on coming with her to help its squadron, and the group push in towards the TSF office. There, they eliminate the Sith presence, before leaving the office in the hands of the Onderon troops and heading to the shuttle. Mandalore has returned from gathering his warriors, and the Mandalorians are ready to join the battle aboard the Ravager. Visisma insists on coming aboard the Ravager as well, to confront her former master. And so Meetra boards the shuttle with the Mandalorians and Visisma. Admiral Carthon Arcee is leading the Republic response to the Sith incursion. He orders his people to concentrate fire on the Ravager, while Red and Blue Wings engage the Sith fighters. He knows that at this distance their weapons will do little damage to the Ravager, but wants to distract the Sith from their attack on Telos. While the space battle rages, Meetra's shuttle makes it to the Ravager, and the Mandalorians lead the initial assault. They have brought proton cores with them, to be set at target sites throughout the Ravager. While his warriors are securing this part of the Ravager, Mandalore joins Meetra in pushing towards the bridge, while placing the proton cores at target sites. They meet Colonel Tobin on the way, and he's not looking great. Meetra asks what happened to him, and Tobin says that Nihilus's hunger consumes without end. Tobin regrets that he and General Vaklu took the Sith as an ally in their efforts on Onderon, but now it is too late. Tobin came to this dead ship, and everything on it slowly dies to Nihilus's hunger. This hunger is why they came to Telos, for the Sith Lord to feed on the Jedi of the Academy. When Meetra tells him that Kreia had lied, and that there are no Jedi at the Academy, Tobin says that these lies will mean the destruction of the planet itself. Visis chimes in to say that without Jedi, Nihilus will feed on the small amount of energy he can from the mass destruction of Citadel Station and the life of the planet. But if he is denied even this, then he will suffer, and without something to sustain him, Visisma does not know what will happen. Meetra supposes that Kreia did have an idea of what would happen, and that she used Tobin to draw Darth Nihilus out. The Colonel says that Nihilus is on the bridge. Even now, Colonel Tobin still genuinely cares for Onderon, and for Onderon's sake, he will aid Meetra in stopping Nihilus. She tells him that someone needs to set off the proton cores, and sends him to a target site to meet the Mandalorians. Meetra's group then continues on, placing another proton core and coming across Visisma's old cell. Visis takes a moment to center herself in her old meditation chamber, finally coming to terms with the death of her world, and calming the hatred within her. Just after the second last proton core is placed, a Sith assault on the Mandalorian position causes one of the proton cores to detonate prematurely. They do not have a spare, and without all four being detonated at the target zones, they cannot destroy the ship. They will need to find or make another. Meetra is able to find another in the missile bay, and after placing it in the last target site, Meetra, Visis, and Mandalore make it to the bridge. There, Nihilus stands, looking out over the planet below. As they approach, Nihilus turns and places them in stasis. Meetra tells him that Kreia had lied, and that there are no Jedi on the planet on which to feed. The Sith Lord tries to feed on Meetra, but finds in her the same wound in the Force, the same emptiness as his own. The attempt to feed on her left him weak for the ensuing fight. His link with Visisma weakened him further when she used it against him, stunning him momentarily. Eventually, Meetra, Visisma, and Mandalore were able to overcome Nihilus. After he falls, Visis removes his mask to finally look upon the face of her former master. The three then leave the bridge as what remained of Nihilus erupted into a storm of dark energy and dissipated into nothing. As their shuttle left the Ravager, the proton cores were detonated by Colonel Tobin, and the Ravager was destroyed. Little about Meetra's experience on the Ravager would have changed if she followed the dark side. Though, a Visisma who followed a dark exile will find no peace in meditation. Instead, it will focus her hate, and she will swear vengeance against the one who doomed her world. A dark Meetra may also demand Visisma sacrifice herself to weaken her former master, something the Mirror Luca will do willingly. When the shuttle returns to Citadel Station, Lieutenant Gren tells Meetra that Admiral Onasi would like to see her about a mutual acquaintance. The Admiral wants to know if Meetra found any trace of Revan past the Outer Rim. She had not. Revan has been gone for 4 years, tracking something that he believed drove the Mandalorian Wars. He asked Onasi to stay behind, to keep the Republic strong. Onasi asked Meetra that if she does see Revan one day, that she pass on the message that Admiral Onasi is following his orders. As Meetra leaves, Bastila enters the room, and Onasi has to tell her that Meetra didn't know anything of Revan. While Meetra had been busy dealing with Nihilus and the attack on Telos, Kreia had travelled to Malachor V to try to create a wound so great that it would drive the Force from the galaxy. She finds Darth Sion in meditation and tells him that she has returned because she now knows why the Exile did as she did, and there is much to be done. The Ebon Hawk careens through the unstable gravity of Malachor V's atmosphere and crashes. Meetra finds herself alone and makes her way across the surface of the planet. Meera also finds herself alone at the bottom of a canyon. Kreia and Sion are aware of their arrival, and Kreia tells Sion that she has brought a beast to Malachor to deal with the Huntress. While they talk, Meetra is continuing her exploration and finds the ancient Sith Academy. As she stands before the Academy, Sith assassins reveal themselves and kneel in an honor guard as she passes. As she makes her way into the Academy, Hanha catches up with his prey. The two bounty hunters fight for the last time, with Meera again besting Hanha. He tells her to kill him, and finally, after years of being hunted, Meera grants this request, ending Hanha's life. While Bao-Dur had served under Revan's command, he created a weapon, the Mass Shadow Generator, previously used in the Trap, which ended the Mandalorian Wars. With the Ebon Hawk's return to Malachor V, Bao-Dur sends his remote to power up the Mass Shadow Generator once more, and undo the damage that it caused. Bao-Dur directs his remote to use a sequence which he has unlocked in the remote's memory banks, on the engine cores of any vessel it encounters on Malachor. The little droid follows its master's command, going to buried Republic vessels and using their command consoles to enter the sequence for priming the Mass Shadow Generator. Once the sequence has been used on the 4th vessel, Bao-Dur delivers one last command to his remote: remain behind, and ensure that the sequence fires properly once Meetra gives the command. Goto, though, had predicted that Bao-Dur would try to activate the Mass Shadow Generator, and had already installed his own programming into the remote, preventing it from following Bao-Dur's command. Goto considers that the relics and the Sith strength on Malachor is needed to stabilize the galaxy, and without them, the galaxy would be reduced to anarchy within years. Goto will wait with the remote for Meetra's commands. Back at the Traya's Academy, Sion awaits Meetra. He tells her that she should not have come to Malachor, and that Kreia is going to break her mind and her body. He urges Meetra to return to the surface and let the planet claim her, as it claimed other Jedi, rather than suffer at Kreia's hands. Meetra tells Sion to step aside, and when he refuses, they fight. Each time Meetra brings Sion to the edge of death, he heals himself. As they fight, Meetra causes Sion to question whether living this way is worth it, and question his place with Kreia. She succeeds in eroding Sion's will, damaging his ability to heal himself with the Force. Eventually, she convinces him to let go, and Sion falls for the last time. With Sion dead, Meetra enters the meditation chamber to confront Kreia, who has well and truly reassumed the mantle of Darth Traya. Meetra asks Kreia why she has done all of this, and Kreia says that she hates the Force, hates that it seems to have a will of its own, and that it controls Force users to achieve some balance, while countless lives are lost. In Meetra, Kreia sees the potential death of the Force. Kreia used Meetra to kill the Lords of the Sith, used her to reveal Atris's corruption, so that her teachings could be ended before they began, used her to gather the Jedi so they could be destroyed. Now, Kreia wants Meetra to kill her, as the apprentice must kill the master. They fight, and Meetra wins. In her last moments, Kreia looks into the heart of Malachor and tells Meetra about the fate of Meetra's companions. Meera will stop hunting life and will instead live it. She will die in many years' time on a forgotten planet, saving the lives of others. She will have no regrets. Mandalore, Canderous Ordo, has many battles left to fight, while the Mandalorians will die a death that will last millennia, until all that remains is their code, their history. Visas Mara will return to Qatar, and finally she will be able to see what she needs to see. The disciple, Mikal, will sit upon the new Jedi Council. He will not forget the Jedi who lost the Force and showed him how to reclaim it. As for Atton, he is a fool, and the Force protects its fools. The fate of Meetra's other companions cannot be seen by Kreia, but she can see that the Republic itself will face a fall which will take millennia. Telos will bloom again under the care of the Ithorians, but it will forget its past experiences of war. Dantooine will survive, and on Nar Shaddaa, the lost and disposed will find hope. Queen Talia's reign on Onderon will be long and good. The planet will remain of the Republic, but it will become more of the Republic, eventually losing its own customs. While Korriban will remain a graveyard, forgotten by the Sith, until they remember it. Had Meetra embraced the dark side, parts of this future would look a bit different. The disciple will turn his back on the Jedi. He will become a senator on a mid-rim world and be a wise and steady ruler who never called upon the Force again, and eventually turned cold. Atton will be as he was during the war, and he will hunt in the dark corners of the galaxy. Telos on Dxun would be a place for machines and science, and it will run smooth and cold like a machine. But it will remember its previous destruction, and it shall never be caught defenseless again. Dantooine will remain a ruin, home to nomads and primitives, while the evil and corruption of Nar Shaddaa will grow. Veklu's reign on Onderon would be short, but its legacy would be long. The planet would maintain its customs, its law, its history, its identity, and the planet would be strong. And for Meetra, regardless of her alignment, she must go into the unknown regions, as Revan did before her, to where the true Sith wait in the dark for the Great War to come. And like Revan, she must go alone. Having told Meetra all she can, Kreia finally allows herself to rest in the heart of Malachor. The Ebonhawk arrives to pick up Meetra, and the ship leaves a crumbling planet behind them, the mass shadow generator being activated, undoing the damage it had once done, and letting the planet go. The only wound in the Force remaining in Meetra, and going with Meetra when it leaves the galaxy. And that is where this story ends. Meetra's companions will rebuild the Jedi Order, and Meetra will go to the unknown region searching for Revan. She will find him, but that is another story. If you do want more videos like this one in the Star Wars universe, let me know. And let me know who your favourite Knight of the Old Republic was, Revan or Meetra. There is also a mod which reintroduces content which was cut from Knights of the Old Republic 2. Personally, I don't consider the cut content to be canon even within Legends, but it is interesting and does expand on the story. If you would like a video going into what that cut content does add, please let me know. Either way, I'll see you in the next one.